Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is April, and this week I'm going to be recreating clothes that Amazon ads keep recommending me. I'm going to be doing so by using secondhand clothes from the thrift store. The first item are fleece-lined sweatpants. Second is this black midi skirt. And lastly, I'll be recreating this color-blocked button-down shirt. Before we get started, thank you so much to Dutch Label Shop for sponsoring today's video. I partnered with them to finally create my own labels to put on clothes when I'm finished making them. Since I'm going to start putting up previous and future creations up for sale on my website, having a label gives my clothes a sense of professionalism, and it just gives me such a great feeling of accomplishment. Dutch Label Shop has a variety of labels they offer, and you can even upload or create your own on their website and customize it to your liking down to the label type, application method, size, and color. They also ship internationally and have customer support in 6 languages such as English, Spanish, French, German, Italian, and Dutch. If having your own personal label is something you're interested, go ahead and click the link down in my description box and be sure to use my code coolirpa10 for 10% off your first purchase on Dutch Label Shop. And be sure to check out my online shop to see what items I currently have up for sale. I'm so excited to put my labels on these next creations, so let's get started. I thrifted a pair of green sweatpants from Goodwill for only $5.99 and purchased new fleece fabric to line the pants with. Lay the folded fleece fabric down and then fold the front of the pants in half and trace it out. I'm not including the ankle cuffs or the waistband since the fleece won't be there. Fold the pants in half the other way so the back side of the pants is now on top, and trace out the back side. Back crotch normally extends a little further, so don't just trace it on the fold. Pay attention to where the seam is and extend the line out however much. Cut both front and back pant legs out. I lay the back pant leg pieces down in front of me, then face the front pant legs on top, right sides together. Pin the inner leg seams together and sew down. Next, I open up both pant legs and face them right sides together, and we'll be sewing the crotch seam closed, which is the giant U shape in the middle. Lastly, flip the pants over with the pieces still facing right sides together, and then pin and sew the side seams closed. Here I was thinking about the best way to attach the fleece lining and decided it was by inserting the fleece lining inside the pants first, and then folding under the raw edges of the fleece so that it sits almost below the waistband. Then on the right side of the pants, I pinned down the fleece lining, making sure to match up all of the seams. Since the waistband is elastic, I'm going to have to stretch the pants while I sew to fit the fleece lining in. To sew the fleece lining on, I'm going to stitch in the ditch, which means on the right side of the pants, I'm sewing right into that waistband seam. That way it's less noticeable. And this is why I pinned the fleece lining a little above the waistband seam so that it can be caught while stitching in the ditch. For the bottom of the pants, there's less room to work with, so I opted out of the folding the fleece edge underneath and will just be stitching the ditch from the right side of the pants. I find it easier to sew on the right side with the pants inside out. That way I don't have the pants bunched up underneath while I sew. After sewing the fleece down at the cuffs, I trimmed the extra length and serged the edges to cuff the seam. And lastly, the final touch, adding my label. I'm so new to sewing on labels and didn't realize figuring out the best placement was so hard to do, and it took me a few times to practice sewing them on as well. But hopefully in time, I'll be a pro at adding them on all of my clothes. While sewing this, I was thinking it'd be cool to add a recycled symbol on the label for pieces that have been transformed to differentiate it from my made from scratch garments. Anyways, here are the final pants. First time I put them on, I laughed so much because the pants were extremely big on me since I bought them in a size large for this project. No matter what though, I think fleece-lined sweatpants will make you look bigger than you actually are, but they really do an amazing job at keeping you warm. I even asked Eric to model them for me since they fit him better. Overall, this is definitely a project I recommend you just DIY at home with an old pair of sweatpants. For this next Amazon recreation, I found the perfect black skirt to transform. It fits me for the most part, but I would like to take in the hip so it looks more fitted. I pinched and pinned my desired look in place and then laid it down on my table to transfer the markings to the inside of the skirt. Lucky for me, the skirt has no lining, so I was able to just pin the sides and sew my new seam, blending it back into the original seam. Next, I shortened the skirt to be above my knees since I still have to add the gathered piece on the bottom. I purchased additional black fabric to recreate the gathered section and basically just took the skirt shopping with me to make sure the shade of black was similar along with the weight of the fabric. I cut it about 11 inches long by however wide the fabric came in. Since one side is on fold, I only need to sew one side seam closed, and after that I can gather the top. The width of my fabric was about 20 inches more than the bottom of the skirt, which is the perfect amount to create my gathers. But if you want an even more gathered look, you might need to double the amount of your skirt measurement. The material I had was medium weight, so gathering it lightly gave me great volume already. Evenly spread out and pin the gathered section right sides together to the bottom of the skirt and sew the skirt together. To finish off the raw edges, I used my serger, but if you don't have one, you can use the overlock stitch on your machine or zigzag the edges together or even cover the raw edges with bias tape. Lastly, I added in my new label and also secured the buttonhole because the stitching was coming undone, and I'm finished. This skirt turned out cuter than the Amazon ad in my opinion. I didn't think I'd like it, but it's so chic and I love that it looks great with sneakers. You're gonna definitely want to DIY this skirt if you can. Moving on to the final project, I thrifted 3 men's shirts in blue, gray, and white and did my best to make sure they were around the same weight. First, I removed all the sleeves from the shirts. We're gonna use the sleeves from the blue shirt, half of the gray shirt, and half of the white shirt. Since my white shirt is bigger than the gray one, I traced the size of the gray shirt onto the white one, mainly around the armholes and side seams. Next, mark the center back on both shirts and cut down the center back. Then sew the 2 shirts together down the center back, and I'm going to use a French seam to do so. To sew a French seam, you sew the pieces wrong sides together first instead of right sides together. Then you want to trim the seam allowance and then flip it right sides together and sew it down again to enclose those raw edges. It's a great technique for those that don't own a serger and want a finished seam. After the center back is sewn, I went ahead and sewed my side seams with a French seam as well. And now we can add the sleeves, but make sure they fit the armholes. Mine were a tad too big, so I just opened up the seam a little to take them in. Pin the armholes right sides together or wrong sides if you're using a French seam and attach it to the shirt. The shirt from Amazon has 2 pockets in the front, so I removed the pocket from the other half of the white shirt and added it onto my new one. Here's the finished look. I decided to keep the white shirt longer for a funky asymmetrical look, but if that's not your style, then you can just trim it. I love that the black skirt even looks great paired with this button down, and the button down looks great with jeans or can even be worn as a jacket that is layered on top. Thank you so much for watching. I will be putting up some of these items for sale on my website, so click the link in my bio to check it out. And let me know down in the comments if you want to see more videos like this. As usual, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!